welcome to our Women's World discussion this Thursday morning. So today we discuss women and the COVID economy, how women are coping in this COVID reality, how businesses are affected and the impact, of course, on the classrooms as we've been discussing month by month by month. So we're joined by via Zoom, of course, our associate clinical psychologist, Sonia Winter, and teacher Nydia Kirby. And here with me in the studio, we have founder of Striving and Thriving Business Consultancy, Karjel Wilhelm Earthlight, to discuss more this morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So we're framing up a lovely discussion this morning, women coping in the COVID economy. Quite something there, but I don't know, Sonia, as our resident psychologist this morning, do you want to jump in on just pretty much framing what that topic sounds like for us? How are women really coping in this, what we call now, COVID economy?
Well, I think that the most important identifier of how women's experience is probably different from that of men and the other members of the family is that by and large women are the main caregivers for any family unit, and what that means is that they're caregivers for their children, for their parents, for their friends and relatives, but by and large that's a big part of their role in any family unit. And because of that, it means that they're spending a whole lot more time they're carrying not only their own stress, number one, but they're also bearing the stress of every other member of the family in a particular way, and trying to problem solve not only for themselves but for the rest of their family. In addition, because they're caregivers, the time that they're spending looking after their children is becoming even more and more and more disproportionate. So if you think about kids being at home now for 5 or 6 hours when they would have been at school, it means that women's responsibilities for kids have increased at least by 5 or 6 hours every single day. And that makes their experience very, very difficult. COVID and the uncertainty that it brings creates a lot of anxiety and stress for every single member of the family, and women's experiences are made that much more intense because of these additional responsibilities and because of the role that they play in their families and in their communities.
All right, and for you, Karjel, being here on set with me, and being a founder of a business consultancy that supports businesses pretty much at different stages, yes, and different sizes. How do you think that terminology actually represents as for a woman who is not just, as she just mentioned, running a home, but trying to survive and thrive in this economy from a business perspective?
Well, first I have to say that women are such resilient beings. I am in awe of women, and I'm not just saying that because I am a woman, but because I am a woman, I do understand what it entails. So as Sonia mentioned, she is in fact correct. Women are trying to do so many things at once. We are running our businesses, we are running our homes, yes, and now with homeschooling, that is an additional thing that we have. And of course, caring for our parents, as we are caregivers as well. And so it is just trying to fit all these little things together so that everything still works. So that is what we have to contend with now.
Right. Yeah. Nydia, for you as a teacher, you have children as well. Are you a parent?
Yes, I'm a mother of 2 5-year-olds on the autistic spectrum and 8-month-old. So yes.
Wow. Can you shape for us the reality, just because you now then wear 2 hats, because you are the woman in the classroom and you're the woman at home. How can you almost skip between either of the two, and what is the true reality as it sets up for the classroom in this time during the COVID reality?
Challenging. Having a son who is 5 on the autistic spectrum, you have to cater to him because he's all over the place. Sitting still and being online is not his thing. And then now you have the 8-month-old, so you have to balance that. So you have classes start at 8, and you have the kids to get ready, or get them to a certain point. Initially, when COVID had started and my son and online classes, it was crazy because it took him about 2 months to try and settle down to know that, okay, when the teacher calls, you need to settle down right here, get your materials together. It was stressing because at that time, I just had my baby who was 8 months now, and I had to be juggling between her and him and classes. And now that it has started in October, it is still somewhat challenging because I have to prepare for him in the mornings, then get the little one ready, and then now get myself ready for class. Because of all the moving parts, what I had to do is to try and seek help to get someone to come in to help me so I can be effective in delivering my lesson to my students. So I had to seek outside help to come in.
Right. Okay. Sonia, I am now trying to understand how, a while ago, Nydia explained the need for reaching out for help. But for the woman who has lost her job, who is the breadwinner and possibly the sole parent at home, who has to find her way, plus handle home and all the other things that we've been discussing, how does that woman cope? What is her reality?
Well, I'm glad you raised that because guess what, Tamian? I was looking at some statistics the other day. I haven't seen the statistics for Jamaica, but in the United States and in the United Kingdom, because of this pandemic, women are losing their jobs at almost a rate of 1.5 to 2 times at the rate of which men are losing their jobs because of this pandemic. So far more women are facing unemployment because of the pandemic than even men. So that's an added stressor as well. Okay, that makes women's experiences different. I'm not sure what the reason for that is, but by and large, that was the findings. So what that means is that I think the good thing about women is that they have to pull on a lot of different problem-solving skills. They have to pull on support. Nydia, she expressed that she had to get help from somewhere. I think that it appears that women are trying to pull together and support each other, either by little pods of sharing the responsibilities of the daily online schooling or whatever daycare sort of a thing. And it's about trying to find resources in your community, in each other, in family members, and so on to support you because there are only 24 hours in the day. You're only one person. You cannot. It is impossible to stretch yourself in a million different ways. A good thing, though, I will say, is that they did see the numbers are showing that men are stepping up to the plate as well in terms of, because a lot of men are also at home. They are making a contribution. There is still a disproportionate sharing of domestic responsibilities, but at least men are taking on more responsibilities than they did have before the pandemic. They're present in their families, and they're also contributing. So it's for women to sort of be assertive and harness their support. You know what I mean? Not go it on your own. Learn to delegate. Learn to lean on, and make sure that this disproportion doesn't work against this disproportionate sharing of responsibilities, of stress, of concern doesn't have a really negative effect on your mental health, and then of course your physical health will also suffer.
Right. I mean, and we want to go into the conversation about the reality of depression. We live in a country where we hear that mental health issues, 1 in 5 persons are affected by some level of mental health issue. This kind of recent, the COVID-19 and all the stressors that come with it, we may want to frame that a bit. But for a woman, Cargill, who has lost their job, what are some of the things, based on your background in business, what are some of the things women can actually start doing now differently?
Okay, I mentioned before of the resilience of women, and I find that when women are placed in a certain position, they tend to be very innovative. So for example, for me and my business, I mainly deal with training in sales and merchandising. However, because of COVID, I had to look at expanding into different areas. So the clients that I worked with, for example, they needed someone to fill the role of a project manager. That's not something I would normally do, but I did it. You know what I mean? There are other people who approached me with who needed help to start their own companies, so to actually do the paperwork and go through that process. And that is something I also did as well. And so that's just an example of what women will do. They will do whatever it takes.
Turn them hand make fashion.
Exactly. And I was reading an article recently about women in the inner city who probably were hairdressers or owned bars, and they were forced to close. And what did they do? They found other things to do. So, for example, they started selling pastry. They found other innovative ways, and so that is what happens with a pandemic. It forces us to be even more creative and innovative than we have been in the past.
Or you'd like us to choose that way versus that of falling into depression,
Exactly.
but instead being innovative.
Exactly. And thankful because there are so many online resources now. If you want to go to Harvard, now is the time. If you want to go to Yale, now is the time, because they're offering free courses. So even though you might have lost your job, another way to pick yourself up and to also make yourself more marketable in the interim is to start doing some courses, you know what I mean, that can help to hone your skills. And also, another thing that women can do is to hobbies that they used to have before.
Yeah.
Maybe a hobby is a way that you can make some money.
Right.
So don't think of it as just, something I do in my pastime.
Yes.
I have a friend who launched out into her hairdressing business. I mean, she has her 9-to-5, but she used to do hair on the side. And because of COVID, she has now taken that bold step to start her own business. So I find that women, we need to be positive and just employ those methods in order to get through this, because we will.
Our Nydia, our resident teacher this morning, and mommy, you mentioned having a son, on the autistic spectrum. How do we really support parents who have children with special needs at this time, and especially, the seat that you sit in as a teacher as well? What are some of those new parenting styles that we can employ for persons, who have children with additional needs?
All right. So initially, the ministry was slow to address this, I must say. And they now have currently launched a forum to help parents along, to give us tips on how to, cope with the different behaviors that they will display or the different challenges that they have. So one thing they tend to reiterate a lot is having a structure for them. So having them on a routine, when to wake up, when to get ready, when to brush their teeth, having them in a setting like a classroom, because kids with autism, structure is most important to them. They get easily thrown off. So for my son, his speech is delayed, so he's not clear in communicating effectively. So I have to try and be intuitive sometimes to what he's trying to tell me versus what I know he should be doing. So he's very hyperactive. He's all over the place. So it takes me a while to get him settled. And one tip that they have given us is don't fight with them, because you're going to lose. You're going to get frustrated, probably send up your pressure, probably send him depression, really. So it's not to fight. Don't fight with them. Just try and get them settled. So if it is that they are getting the work done, but they're fidgeting around and you want them to feel still, don't fight with them. The mere fact that they're getting the work done, you tag along with them. So for my son, it's a constant daily routine to try and get him settled, get him in his zone, because I know he'll eventually get it. Takes some time to get them settled in a routine, but once you're persistent with that routine, they will eventually settle in, and whatever it is you want to get across to them, they'll eventually get it.
Right. All right. And Sonia, for, the concept, we were talking about the possibility of our women falling into, depression because we described all the very many hats that they would have worn anyway, but now with so many other issues, that COVID-19 has presented. How do we really and truly set up our women for success in a case like this? What do you suggest we need to really look into?
I think one of the most important things is to allow women need support so that they can have some time for themselves. As I listen to Nidia, I hear a mommy who is almost dedicated 100% of her time outside of herself, to her family, to her son, to her little baby, and to the classroom. And you can just hear the amount of time left for Nidia is probably zero. And and that's where the support of other members of the family come in, where she can be given a little time just to chill, just to do nothing, just to
breathe,
take care of herself, whatever it is that she does to relax, whether it is her devotion or her mindfulness exercises or a little exercise or just going for a walk, just some time for Nidia to kind of put off the cares of the world and of the family. That's step number one, doing things also in that time. I mean, if it's even your 10-minute time for the day, it can just pay such huge dividends, where you can just kind of find yourself again. I think it was it you, Tamian, or Cargill, who mentioned hobbies. Yes, you can leverage a lot of income from hobbies, but hobbies in and of themselves, to the extent that they bring you joy, that right there, you're supporting your mental health, And as I said, I think those are some of the important things, to be able to also, I guess, manage the intake of, all of us have to be careful, not only women, but family members, the intake of information that can be very discouraging and that can intensify the feeling of uncertainty, to be able to just manage your diet of that. Women also taking care of their health, taking care of their bodies, very, very important, because, the mental health feeds into physical health so inextricably. And so to the extent that you're also taking care of your body, trying your best to manage your diet, in a time like this when we're all stuck at home or we're really stressed, we tend to, our intake of unhealthy foods tend to increase as a result.
Yes.
Comfort food is often not the best. And it can have a really immediate effect on you, a short-term effect on your mood, and then of course a more medium to long-term effect on your health.
Right.
So those are some of the things to be aware of. I think it's time and space for women to just take care, show themselves some self-compassion and some love. Time to do things that validate themselves, do things that are for themselves and for their own sakes only, putting off some of the responsibilities, and then also looking after. They're busy worrying about the health and the providing for their family, doing it for themselves as well, in terms of exercise, eating right, trying to manage their sleep, which is just so difficult in this time, but doing the best you can, to take care of the temple, this body that we have.
Right, filling us up first before we pour out.
To pick it back on what Sonia had said, really, you do need that support, because I do have my husband that helps. And when she speaks about getting that 10 minutes, when he gets in the evenings, and I'm like, all right, dinner is done. I'm like, babe, give me 10 minutes, literally. I just need 10 minutes to recoup. That 10 minutes does a world of difference. It gives me and just a moment to mellow right out, so I can pick back up and go again. So that's really important, to get that needed support, whether it's from family members, your spouse, but really and truly as women, we know we can do all, but we do need support. We do need that.
I'm totally.
I call it, what I call that 10 minutes, I call it just catching your breath. You need some time to just catch your breath.
Literally breathe. Yeah. Right. And so, as we close out the discussion, which I really wish we had about another couple hours, well, because there's so many different points coming up, and I'm loving just how we've been able to, give some tips for our viewers. But for a person who has a hobby in mind, 30 seconds, what do you tell that woman so she can win amidst all what's going on for her upcoming business idea?
Well, I would tell her to invest. If it's something that she is serious about, look at whether it is feasible right now. Is it something that you can take to the market and it will bear fruit? Did you research? Talk to friends, family members to see if this is something that if it's something that people need at the moment. And if it is, and you have the means to bring it to market, why not? Go ahead and do it.
Ahead.
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. And for you, your 30 seconds, Sonia, what are we telling our women?
Women have some self-compassion for yourself. We're good at compassion. We're not so good at showering it on ourselves. Please spend some time and show yourself a little self-compassion. It goes a long way.
Love yourself, show yourself. And of course, finally, Teacher Nydia Kirby. Teach, what do you say this morning to our females, our women in this situation that
I
we
am
found?
saying, women, be encouraged. Be encouraged. You will have your moments of meltdown or you can't do it, but you pick yourself up and you go again. Be encouraged. We can get this done. We are doing it. As Sonia said, don't be too hard on yourself.
Pick yourself
Don't be too
up.
hard on yourself.
Pick yourself up.
Yes.
All right. I'm loving it. Thank you so much, women. Thank you so much, ladies, for being with us this morning here on Women's World. A very important conversation. We spoke about women and the COVID economy. Thank you, of course, to Cargel Wilhelm Earthlight, founder of Striving and Thriving Business Consultancy, Sonia Winter, Associate Clinical Psychologist, and Teacher Nydia Kirby for joining us this morning. That's it for our Women's World discussion this Thursday morning. Thank you.